Yeah, Heidi, this is Susan, and that's Robert, and we're right in the middle of a conversation that's it's a big one for me. What does one do when I'm normally I'm normally pretty lifted, emotionally and
Yeah.
in life and trust and love and like all kinds of stuff. And so I'm about to go do this deep brain stimulation surgery in about a month and a half. It's
Yeah.
not right now. And I'm continuing doing my research and discovering that, oh, wait, it's not all roses.
So
It's,
let me address that because what I've heard so far in your research, and I think it's good, seems to address a lot of the logical, right? And it almost feels like the logical is there to comfort the emotional, as it were. And I don't. I think that's a reasonable approach. I wonder if there's a emotional approach to this, one that says, you know, either play or express, so you're not just trying to tell your emotions either don't feel it or it's going to be okay, but that the emotions really, how do we give your emotions a space to play? And I don't know if that means play worst case scenario or play fears or play anxiety. How do we give them a space to play and that you get to see those in the light of day and that they feel respected too?
that's it. That's very relevant, Robert, because all the work we've done together for the last 2 years has been in improv and in a play format. And I think the lift that everybody has from the programs that you run is because we don't just sit in this place that I'm sitting right now. We
Right.
have a counterbalance to it that's not being silly and goofing around. It's directed.
And I just want to jump in to say exactly what I didn't want this to sound like to, and it'd be interesting to see if anybody has any feedback who's watching this, is to sound what people tend to go away from, I think, when they see support groups, because people are a lot of times just logically speaking about their fears and they're not actually playing through them. And that's the difference in what we do. We literally play our emotions, right? I mean, like a musician would play an instrument, we play our emotions and we allow them to have space. And we end up a lot of times laughing because seeing them in the light of day as opposed to the fear of the dark. So let's just, instead of talk, let's just play. Let's just try what's in the box. I think that's a good relevant thing for you right now. Let's go ahead and
Okay.
put
And forgive me, my alarms are going off to take my medication. So the
you.
next, I'm not gonna leave you.
Oh, okay.
We don't have any right here, so it'll go off again probably, and
All
I'll
right. Well,
give it a shot.
the phone might end up in the box. We'll see. So for those who are uninitiated, Susan's going to put up a box right now. Go ahead and let everybody
Trying to
see
find
that.
a
Oh, there you go. She's got, yes, it can be any
box.
size and shape she likes. And I'm going to repeatedly ask her what's in the box, and she's going to answer indeed whatever it is in there. So her job is to make sure she looks in and looks up. Okay, without thought at all. Hopefully she will.
Yeah. Do you want to know what's in this first box?
Well, it should remain the same box. Let's see what happens as you lift.
Is this one right here?
Ready? And
I,
what's in the box?
I've never had a box with like see-through edges, but it's round like a cylinder, like glass, and it's filled with this charcoal, dark, heavy. Um, it's not mud. It's not black sticky mud. It's more dark gray charcoaly stuff.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause on this because there's nothing wrong with what you did. Of course, there's nothing wrong with any of this. That is such a different version of what I had in mind, and not bad
I
at all. Talk to me about that box and the
I
specificity you gave it,
that's
because that's not the game as we normally play it. I do. It's relevant though. So
you're absolutely right. It's if we just moved on because that's different, that would have been a mistake. That happened for a reason.
that's what I'm saying.
That
So
is that is reflective of
tell me about
how.
that. Let me give the viewing audience just a taste. Normally the game goes, what's in the box, and I'll say, a giraffe. What's in the box? A peppermint candy. What's in the box? Ravioli. Okay, I'm looking down, looking up. That's it.
I mean, me too. Usually,
Susan did something entirely different, and this happens within our improv games. That sometimes people will break the mold because when they feel safe, hopefully, or inspired in whatever frame, creative, They need something different. Susan needed something different, and she made this ornate box, and I could see her pushing, and I had to fight everything in my Sherpa not to correct her because it wasn't wrong. There was nothing wrong with what she did. She was playing it differently. Let's get back to what was in your box. You saw this incredibly detailed stuff. What was in that box, and perhaps why?
It was dark and it was heavy. And what was fascinating was it was a huge box.
Mhm.
Like, it was that big. Usually it's this
Well,
big.
it was see-through too.
And it was see-through and it was very clearly round. I don't know why, but
Yes,
it was, I could see into it, and it was uh, dark gray, like charcoal, um, like when you have a campfire, but everything at the end, when it's just burned out. And
embers, yeah,
no, there's no embers. It's all dark gray black
the leftovers.
in there. Yeah, yeah. No, this is a cold dead fire from a previous
Now
campfire.
that's a nice description right there. A cold, dead fire. Go with that.
Well, what's nice about that is it's dead. It's not a living thing. What I'm been fighting all day is this, you know, this acceptance of the reality that there's no guarantees that
Mm,
this surgery will have all the wonderful outcomes that most of the time I've been hearing about and talking about, and that feels really good.
no,
But it feels kind of cool to have. It's kind of like a little bit like what just showed up in that box. It wasn't that I was dead, it was that the image was dead. It was that the sense was dead, the feeling was dead. And so I was trying to, this isn't a word, resilient myself. I was trying to, bring myself back up. I couldn't figure out how to do it. I was trying, and I was applying logic, you know, and that logic and emotions don't really mix all the time.
not all the time. And I think where I'd been trying to go, and you picked up on it, was to get you to tap in more to your emotion, and you allowed, I think, some of that to come through. Creativity is tied to emotion. When we are feeling emotionally safe and able to express, that's where creativity happens. And when we're stuck in a logical space, creativity feels like it has to be squeezed through a very small tube, and it has to be perfect in order to be allowed. You got to put forth this very descriptive but unknown thing in front of you, and you allowed it to be exactly what it was. And then, yeah, then now we can go back and pick at it and play with it and see what. But I mean,
Well, it was cool that you asked me to talk about it a little bit more, because I had sort of described it, but
yeah,
then as I continued, I realized it was dead. It wasn't a threat anymore. It was like in okay. I don't know where we are in our 5 minutes, but me and my doctor are telling me go take your. Oh wait, you know what? That's a different alarm. But anyway,
we'll wrap this up. We got about 2 minutes left. You get the final thoughts, and then we'll allow you to go take your pills and get on with your day. Tell us about this, the cold dead fire thing, the cold dead, that was a really interesting description, like you said, and it speaks toward, as you said, the emotional state that had you in fear. And you go, wait a minute, I don't have to allow this. I don't have to go down. I don't have to let this burn me, right? It's
yes,
out.
yes. It's like a separation. I don't know if you've ever done EMDR or talked to anybody who's done it. It's absolutely fascinating. It's an incredible technique that is kind of mind blowing that it actually works. But the way I've explained it to myself and to others is that it separates the emotions from the event. So you can still have the event. It's not like asking you to subvert or squash or ignore or push away the event,
Right.
but it separates the emotions from the event. And the first time I ever had it done was right after 9/11. I mean, it was 9/12. It was the very next day. And I didn't know anything about EMDR, but when I had gone in for some biofeedback, and this wonderful woman who does that work came in, and I said, "How are you?" Because I mean, we were all filled all the way up with those images and those clouds of dust and those planes and those buildings and those people and the reality of it. I mean, I could barely breathe. And so I said to her, "How are you?" And she said, "I'm really okay. There's a technique that I can do with myself, and I'm okay." And I thought, that's unbelievable, because I could barely breathe, and it was the next 24 hours later, and I wasn't even involved. I didn't know anybody who was involved. It was just overwhelming. And I said, "Could you do that to me, with me, for me?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And it absolutely did exactly that. I could go. You couldn't see anything on television or hear anything on the radio except 9/11, and I wasn't choking anymore. I wasn't. And what happened when you said to me, talk about what's in that box. As the more I talked, the words changed, and the words "cold dead" came out. So
Good.
the emotions got separated from, the reality. Of course, there's a reality that this could happen. That any, you know,
Anything could happen, right? I mean, any of these possibilities, even the ones we don't want to consider, the quote unquote side effects, as they're told us, or unintended consequences. Um, the truth
to
is,
sign all those forms.
right? Yeah, they wouldn't make you sign them if they didn't think they were real. They'll try to convince you they're not, but you still have to sign the
You
paper.
still have to sign it, right? And so it helps. The last thing
Yeah.
was a reminder that I have a phone call with a friend who's had the procedure, and the reason is to um, to say, what else do I need to think about? What questions do I need to ask? What do I
Well,
need to,
we brought that up earlier. Who else can you, go to for the emotion because the doctors can't do it? And I think the answer to that, and this very much fits back in the yaks and maybe can cap us, you go to your community. You build a community knowing that you're going to need them, not if I need them, it's when I need them.
This,
And
yeah,
that's who we are as yaks. And so for all those watching right now, I hope you'll step in so that you can do exactly what Susan's doing, which is start to reach out to her tribe, and the tribe reach back in kind when they have needs.
yeah.
And because again, it's not if, it's when. And this is a unique thing to be able to reach and touch and talk and play through these things the way we do. So
And it is somebody that I met in our Yaks world. Met several times, which
yep.
is cool, in different ways. So
The network's growing. Well done. Thank you so much for playing your way through this, Susan. Well done.
thank you, my Sherpa.
All right, that's your daily dose.